So, day 3 of Warhammer 40K spoiler season is finally wrapping up, and my goodness, do we have some heavy hitters to end the day. I mean, if you haven't seen my episode on Magnus the Red, well, this is going to be a very popular commander, and my goodness, is it powerful. But don't leave to go watch that episode just yet, because on this episode, we've got a brand new card that is so weird. And you can blame this card's weirdness on Eddie, because Eddie definitely designed it. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, blame Eddie in the comments below, even though Eddie just helps and does a great job. But yeah, blame Eddie. Let's jump into it. Okay, here we go. Sloppity Bilepiper. This is apparently a thing. Warhammer 40K fans, explain in the description I'm just thrown off now. In the comments below, please explain what in the world this is, because this doesn't really look like a card that I would expect to see for Warhammer 40K. Okay, here we go. A 3/3 demon that costs 3 and a black, and it says Jolly Gut Pipes. Okay, gross. Which I guess, yep, that art right there. Yep. Anyways, pay 2, tap, sacrifice a creature. The next creature spell you cast this turn has Cascade, which of course means when you cast your next creature spell, exile card to the top of your library to exile a non-land card that costs less, then you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the exile cards at the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is a very strange card again for a lot of reasons. I mean, first off, yeah, I mean, just the name, the I don't know what you call it, the italicized, words right there, Jolly Gut Pipes, that's quite strange too. The name of the ability, I guess. And yeah, the art, all just very, very weird. Very, very gross. Yeah. But the ability, too, is something we really don't see, I mean, very often at all. The ability to basically give Cascade, and actually a very specific kind of Cascade where it's like, okay, you sacrifice a creature to get this, so there is a cost to it. Pay 2, tap, sacrifice a creature. There is a cost to it. But you're giving your next creature spell, specifically a creature spell, only creature spell Cascade. Now, you can hit, whatever you're going to hit off the top. You're not just hitting, creatures. As long as you're hitting, a non-land, you're casting that, the one that costs less for free. Now, obviously, though this card is very, very weird, I think there's no denying that. I think this card has a lot of potential in some decks out there. One deck in particular really stood out as, it's kind of like the, the trope of, oh, new card, good in this deck with this commander. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that one here in a bit. Basically, though, yeah, it's very interesting to see a different kind of, Cascade application, being able to give a different kind of Cascade on a different kind of trigger. You activate this ability, and specifically the next creature spell you cast has to be this turn, has Cascade. Again, something I definitely did not expect to see. And yeah, again, I definitely didn't expect to see anything with this art. But again, Warhammer 40K fans, please, 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 in the comments below, let me know what in the world this is. So yeah, I cannot wait to read about this and figure out what in the world's going on here. Regardless, when it comes to granting Cascade, we really haven't seen too many applications of that. I mean, we've seen plenty of spells that do have Cascade, but, actually giving Cascade, a couple of examples come to mind. Maelstrom Nexus, of course, which is a decently older card, I mean, compared to these other newer ones. I mean, obviously, Rain and Riches, very new. Wild Magic Sorcerer, also pretty new as well. Yeah, I mean, we really haven't seen too many applications of giving Cascade to things. Okay, I guess I should bring up the first Sliver. Yes, that, is a commander that deals with, giving Cascade to Sliver spells specifically. Cool. But yeah, when it comes to actually, being able to use them in, non-Sliver decks, cards like Maelstrom Nexus, Rain of Riches, and Wild Magic Sorcerer are ones that come to mind. Maelstrom Nexus is actually a really cool card, 5-color enchantment. The first spell you cast each turn has Cascade. So this one doesn't require any kind of an activation or anything like that, unlike, Sloppity Bilepiper. That's going to be a hard name to remember. Obviously, it does limit it to just the first spell that you're casting in the turn, though. And again, not specific to just creature spells. And then there's Rain of Riches. When this enters the battlefield, you get 2 treasure tokens, and the first spell you cast each turn that mana from a treasure was spent to cast has Cascade. Obviously, I mean, you can utilize, those 2 treasures for 2 different spells for this. And in a treasure build, yeah, you're going to have plenty other treasures to utilize for this. again, it does specify it has to be the first spell you cast in each turn. So again, like Maelstrom Nexus, the first spell you're casting with treasures has Cascade. And then Wild Magic Sorcerer is even more specific than this. I mean, I would say it's more specific, I guess. Wild Magic Sorcerer says the first spell you cast from exile each turn has Cascade. So that's kind of another layer on top of it. Again, you need to ensure that you can cast a spell from exile. Now, there are plenty of ways to do that, including cascading, actually. But yeah, to my knowledge, we have not seen anything quite like Sloppity Bilepiper, there I got it that time, that, again, specifies creature spells. The next creature spell you have has Cascade. So it's interesting to see them play kind of in this Cascade realm more and more and more. I mean, again, Rain and Riches and Wild Magic Sorcerer came out not too long ago, really, in the scheme of things, in comparison to Maelstrom Nexus. So it's interesting seeing them kind of play in this arena in different ways, and again, more specific ways, because Cascade is a very, very powerful mechanic. So obviously, in limiting in certain ways, they're able to play with it more often. Now, since I brought up, Magic Wild Sorcerer, which is great in a Prosper deck, let's talk about Prosper first. Yeah, Prosper Tomebound, a 1/4 Tiefling Warlock with Death Touch. This is, the commander that seems to be every single time a new card comes out, that has to deal with anything with exile. It's like, oh yeah, good for Prosper. Anyways, Prosper has the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card, and pack boon. Whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. So yes, I mean, Prosper itself lets you, cast cards from exile, and then also, whenever you do cast cards from exile, you get a benefit against treasure tokens, which are very powerful. And yeah, you can really get ahead of your opponents by making a lot of them, and of course, by cascading into, another spell, using Sloppity Bilepiper, I think I got it again, you can, of course, get more and more treasures with that, by cascading a spells cast them from exile. Now, obviously, you do the sacrifice a creature to do so for certain Prosper builds that aren't going to have, a good amount of creatures in play, that might not be a good idea, but again, it is definitely an option for Prosper decks that are pretty creature heavy, or again, ones that can make creature tokens. Of course, another kind of a deck that loves Cascade is a commander that loves cascading too, Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. 5/4 Trample. When deals common damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. Now, keep in mind, this one does specify spells from your hand, whereas Sloppity Bilepiper does not. So those work in somewhat different ways. Regardless, yeah, I mean, you can cascade even more by adding in another Cascade layer, let's just call it, for that Sloppity Bilepiper plus Yidris, combination, which can help you cascade even further for even more value. And what kind of Yidris deck out there doesn't want to just keep cascading forever? Not that you're going to be able to do that, but yeah, I mean, cascade a lot, and yeah, go have fun getting your random cards off the top. Another commander that can definitely be built in a cascade kind of way. Let's talk about Jodah Archmage Eternal. You may pay Wooburg rather than pay the mana cost for spells you cast. So, yeah, you can save on some massive spells thanks to this. And yeah, again, by being able to, cast a massive creature spell with this and utilizing Sloppity Bilepiper's, activation and trigger, you can get a ton of value off of a massive cascade. I mean, just think of, Apex Devastator, okay? Casting that 10-minute spell for just 5, which already has Cascade, 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 Cascade. Well, thanks to Sloppity, let's just add another, Cascade on top of that. So if you've ever wanted to cascade 5 times with your Apex Devastator, now you can. And of course, okay, just another quick example, any kind of a 5-color commander that might be built in a Cascade strategy, like a Ramos Dragon Engine, because this can make a massive amount of mana for you, yeah, might want to consider this card if you've got a decent amount of creatures in the build. And of course, Ramos says whenever you cast a spell, you get a counter on it for each of that spell's colors. And by moving 5 counters from Ramos, you get double Wooburg. Only activate this once each turn, but still. A sacrifice outlet actually might even benefit Ramos in some ways. There are definitely going to be some builds that utilize ways to actually get Ramos back out, essentially, and so you can utilize that ability more than once in a single turn. So maybe you've got a way to, feign death Ramos so that when it dies, it comes back. So sacrifice Ramos, it comes back, and then once you get more counters on it, you can activate the ability again on the exact same turn. So Sloppity can definitely come in handy in multiple ways. And speaking of that, yeah, I mean, when it comes to being a sacrifice outlet, yeah, I mean, aristocrat-style decks. Teysa Karlov might want to look into this card as well. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability per you control trigger, that ability triggers additional time. So yeah, just basically doubling up on your death triggers. So you're going to have creatures that actually want to sacrifice, so you can use Sloppity to do that And again, when you're sacrificing that creature, you get, all those aristocrat value, engines that you have going. And on top of that, again, when you do cast a creature spell, your next creature spell, you get a Cascade for even more value to hit something, to get something else into play. And yeah, Tasted X definitely love value. Speaking of value, how about Liesa, Forgotten Archangel? I did not forget about you. Okay, terrible joke. Anyways, whenever another non-tone creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step, and if a creature opponent controls a die, exile it instead. Basically, you get your creatures back, and your opponents, well, never get their creatures back. So with Sloppity, when you sacrifice a creature, you're going to be getting that creature back very soon. Well, at the end step, but still, you can utilize that creature to help you cascade with another creature. So yeah, I mean, you can just keep getting more and more value, getting more and more things out, getting your creatures back to your hand that might have, great ETBs or, again, death triggers that you want to utilize with Sloppity. So definitely a card to consider for this one, too. And the final Aristocrat Commander that I'm going to bring up is actually a pretty new one. I mean, from the most recent set, actually. Elas Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, I hope I said that right. Anyways, 2/2 Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Basically kind of like a Blood Artist or more like Zulaport Cutthroat type of effect. But yeah, on a commander. So yeah, definitely an Aristocrat style commander, and a very fantastic one at that. Use Sloppity to sacrifice creatures to, drain your opponents, and then also, cascade into other creatures or other things to help you train your opponents further, because there's a lot of gross things that you can do with a commander like this. But yeah, again, when it comes to gross, Sloppity Bilepiper definitely takes the cake for a lot of reasons. Again, Warhammer fans, please let me know in the comments below. Again, what in the world is going on? How is this in your universe? I mean, when I picture, Warhammer 40K, I picture like, hard rock, heavy metal kind of stuff. And then there's this, which is very interesting to say the least. So yeah, not that, nothing against Sloppy Bilepiper, okay? Nothing against this, but yeah. Regardless, okay, outside of how it just is weird to me just in general, it's an interesting new ability, and it's an interesting kind of, again, play on Cascade, again, being specific to a creature spell. So yeah, I think we're going to start to see more and more of these kind of effects more often, because I do think Wizards does like the Cascade mechanic, but they realize that obviously it's an incredibly powerful and busted thing when applied in the wrong way. But yeah, make sure you stay tuned to this channel for even more exciting, and I'm sure even more weird spoilers coming up in the near future. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.